Hi, everyone. It's Chatty Ashley. Today's video is going to be about my journey to become a teacher. So it started when I was very young. Um, my mother would have me do a lot of volunteer work with some organizations that I belonged to, and also she was a family advocate and worked at the juvenile detention center in our town. So she would have me do a lot of volunteer work, cleaning up stuff, area beautification, serving food, delivering toys and food on Thanksgiving or Christmas, being an angel off of the angel tree. So just very humbling experiences when I was very young. And I went to the Upward Bound program, Math and Science, at the University of Northern Iowa when I was in high school. And this pretty much jump started my career path or my educational path towards higher education. Next, I, in my freshman year of college, I worked for a program called America Reads. Um, and we would go to East St. Louis and help out with after school program. And I would tutor children in East St. Louis, Illinois. Next, I worked for the Upward Bound program the summer of maybe my sophomore or junior year of college. So again, I was just very much into programs that were educational. And my job, I worked at a daycare. So I was always like just around children. When it time for me was time for me to pick a major and I found out how much a teacher made, I was done. Like, you know what? I can't live off of that. I'm not going to become a teacher. So I changed my major to journalism at that point, or really decided on journalism at that point. So I graduated, I moved to Atlanta, and I thought I would find a job um, in journalism. And it was really hard. I couldn't find anything. However, I was able to get a job as a 3-year-old teacher. And then later on, I was a paraeducator um, in a preschool room and also in a kindergarten room, I believe in Iowa, before I moved to Atlanta. So I could always fall back on something to do with teaching and education, but I just didn't really recognize it or want to acknowledge that that was my path. It always made me super happy, but I didn't want to acknowledge it. So I finally got a job at Hertz, and I was working as a branch manager, making great money. You know, it's customer sales oriented. So I was busy working all the time, crazy hours, and then dealing with, just customers. And we PCS to Augusta. And once we found out we were going to PCS, I decided right then and there I was going to go back to school and get my master's degree in teaching, specifically early childhood education. So at that point, I realized, hey, I'm not getting joy out of these other jobs. And I felt like they were jobs. I wanted a career path. So I realized and I humbled myself to God and finally started listening to Him, who was telling me and kept turning me back around towards education that it was right. So I went back to school, and during my final year, I had this classmate and she was taking the GACE exam and she just started and I was on the tail end. I was like, well, she's not waiting. If she can do it, I can do it. So I went ahead and I took my GACE exam as well. It was 2 parts for early childhood education. And I passed as a professional on a professional level. And not more than a couple of weeks later, I was applying for jobs. I received interviews for several positions. And before I could even make it home, I received a phone call and I landed my first job in my last year of my master's program. And that was just the best. that was like the bomb, the best situation for me. I loved working at my last school. I love the support that I received from the administration. I love my co-teacher to death. Lacey. And I miss her as well. So I hope that I can find a position overseas as a teacher, either off post as a English language teacher or on post as a early childhood teacher, or even in a subbing position, which might later on lead to another opportunity, or really just anything in education that will help me grow and develop as an educator. And I believe that my position or my career path complements my husband's career path perfectly because, wherever you go, they always need teachers. So that's my story. Thank you for listening. Peace.